13 races are in the books, and as we get set to go racing for one final time in 2025, all that separates us from crowning a champion are 250 miles in New England. Hi, hello, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Concord, Massachusetts, as we welcome you to today's coverage of the season finale for the inaugural season of the NR2003 Loves American Truck Series, the Coca-Cola 250. Live from the Coca-Cola Superspeedway, once again, welcome everybody to today's Intercast on the North American Sim Racing Network. Hi in the press box, my name is Trey Wright, and all of the marbles are on the table in New England here this afternoon. 3 truckers come into today with a chance at the championship, and nothing is set in stone until that checkered flag falls at the end of 26 laps at Coca-Cola. Igor Barreto, Roberto Crown Jr., and Bryce Egan are your 3 championship-eligible drivers, and it is going to be a fun one here today, but we are racing with heavy hearts, as just yesterday at the time we're recording this, 2 days ago when this race will be going up, a tragedy in the entire racing community, especially in the NASCAR community, with the passing of Greg Biffle and his family, and just a horrible plane crash down in North Carolina. Originally, we just had the intro recorded before I went to work yesterday when I'm recording this, and I came back and saw that and knew that we had to redo this intro before we got this recorded. It is just a horrible situation. It's emotional. It is very emotional for all of us, and we're going to be honoring one of the greatest truck drivers in NASCAR history. Lap number 16 will be a silent lap here today in honor of Greg Biffle and his entire family and everybody on that plane. But all these drivers, all 42 of these truckers, will be racing with heavy hearts in remembrance of one of the greatest drivers in NASCAR history, and just a great humanitarian for the floods in western North Carolina back with Hurricane Helene. And it's with heavy hearts and somber but serious mindsets that we race here today in Coca-Cola. Irregardlessly, we do have a championship to crown today, and after an incredible race at the Homestead Miami Speedway for the final edition of this season of Tuesday Night Truckin', 3 drivers coming with a shot at the championship, and the 2 at the forefront were battling for second for the majority of the season, those being the 01 Makita Ford F-150 from Al Racing of Roberto Crown Jr. and the Ryan Durrani Racing number 78 F-150, M&M's F-150, I should say, of Bryce Egan. Taking a look at the championship-eligible drivers, Roberto Crown Jr. comes into this afternoon with no wins on the season, but a solid enough resume with 1,996 points, a 49-point lead over Bryce Egan coming into the Coca-Cola Superspeedway this afternoon. All Crown Jr. needs to worry about is just trying to finish ahead of everyone. However, he can surrender 9 positions to Bryce Egan, so Egan can finish no more than 9 positions ahead of Roberto Crown Jr., and he will win the championship. If Egan finishes 10 spots ahead of that 01, Egan will win the championship by a singular point. As we now go over to Bryce Egan, like with Roberto Crown Jr., no wins on the season, but he does have an incredible resume, and he does have 1,947 points. Right now, good enough for second in the championship standings. Like we said, Egan just needs to finish 10 spots ahead of Roberto Crown Jr., so he needs a little bit more to go his way in that 78, but nobody needs more to go their way like the dominant truck of the entire season, leading the championship standings for about 10 races straight up until Tuesday night. The driver of that number 71 Titan Fury Racing Menards Dodge Ram of Igor Barreto. He had the championship in the bag, but you go over this last 2-week stretch, and it has been poor finish after bad luck moment for that 71 truck, and he currently sits 3rd in the championship standings, 110 points back of Roberto Crown Jr. and 61 back of Bryce Egan. For Barreto to win the championship coming into today as the underdog, he needs to finish 22 spots ahead of Roberto Crown Jr. and 13 ahead of Bryce Egan. Now, if he finishes 22 ahead of Roberto Crown Jr., that would put the 71 and the 01 in a tie. Tiebreaker is whoever has the most wins. That win at Pocono midway through the season coming as that ace in the hole for Barreto. Should he finish only 22 ahead of Roberto Crown Jr., a lot needs to go the driver of that 71 truck's way he's able to win this championship that he was manifest destined for going back 2 weeks ago. It's the way that the cookie crumbles here on a lot of weird and wild and incredibly fun to watch races here in the Love's American Truck Series over the last couple of weeks and change. But those are your three championship-eligible drivers, and Igor Barreto starts the highest of the trio in the 18th starting spot, with Roberto Crown Jr. starting in 27th, and Bryce Egan starting the deepest in 30th in that 78 machine. We'll take a look at them here on the parade laps as well. But it doesn't really matter where you start, it only matters where you finish, and if you're able to avoid the big one at a super speedway like Coca-Cola. It's your run-of-the-mill super speedway with speedway physics here, this 3-mile super speedway. The inside lane is the dominant line, as it always is at these plate tracks, so we're going to see a lot of cycling, especially at the beginning of the race. Something these trucks love to do, as we saw with the Mission Barbecue Cup Series cars, is hit that outside wall going down the straightaways. That's where we see a lot of wrecks start, particularly going into turn number 3. Just like with a lot of our super speedways this season, no pit stops are on the board. The only thing that's going to break up this race are going to be caution flags if and when they come out. But other than that, we're going to be running them wide open for 250 miles here in New England. We started this season just before Halloween, and we're going to finish it just before Christmas, as for one final time in 2025, it's time to bring Concord both the action and the noise. Let's go down trackside for the most famous words in motorsports to get the season finale kicked off from Coca-Cola for the Coca-Cola 250.
Drivers, start your engine!
For the final time in 2025, 42 race trucks roar to life on the pit lane of the Coca-Cola Super Speedway. We're ready to rock and roll for the season finale, and it's your last winner on a super speedway, that number 57 Harbor Freight F-150 of Lauren Martinez, sitting on the pole position with a couple of ladies locking out row number 1. Your Denver winner of Dylan Matthews will start on the outside pole in that Family Guy Toyota Tundra. They're in row number 1. Row number 2, Jay McMichael starts the outside of the other entry for Titan Fury Racing, the 4 of Danny Fallington, to round out the starting 4, and rounding out the starting 6, Esteban Lacer, down the low side of Riley Sampson. Sampson, the defending champion of this level of competition back in the 2024 season of the Winston All-American Series. And speaking of championships, there are the 3 eligible drivers for a championship here today, beginning with the 78 of Bryce Egan in that M&M's yellow Ford F-150 for Durrani Racing, the blue and red Makita F-150 of Roberto Crown Jr. starting diagonally to Egan. And up ahead of these guys, that yellow, orange, and red Menards number 71 Dodge Ram of Igor Barreto will round out the trio of championship-eligible drivers here at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway. 26 laps going on the pylon here at Coca-Cola, with the stages ending at laps 7 and 14. No pit stops here at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway. 36 degrees of banking on a 3-mile track. It's a beautiful facility for on a beautiful day for what is going to be a great race here today at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway, the granddaddy of fictional racetracks of NR 2003. Pace truck is down the pit lane as Lauren Martinez, looking for 2 straight wins on a super speedway, will lead the field of the race's restart zone. Green flag is in the air for one final time in 2025. We're live from Coca-Cola. A little bit of a bump and a little bit of a bobble there for a couple of trucks mid-pack. But everybody will remain straight for the time being as they rocket around turns 3 and 4. It's Danny Fallington, first one in front, with 42 race trucks under a blanket as they blaze towards the start-finish line. Fallington will lead lap number 1 with 3 wide behind him. Could be getting 4 wide back in there. Roberto Crown Jr., that 6th truck on the inside lane, right now in favor for the championship here on the 2nd lap of the race. Crown Jr. utilizing that inside lane like we talked about in the pre-race show. That's going to be the dominant line, but some contact above him with a couple of trucks going in the outside wall like we said and like we saw. The Mission Barbecue Cup Series race back here in July, they tend to do that. That's where a lot of trouble is going to strike with trucks getting into the outside wall as Danny Fallington nearly knocks the retaining wall down. Going into turn number 3, he's going to go towards the boondocks in that 4 machine. 3 wide underneath of him, and we may have had our first incident of the day, and we indeed did, and it was the man who started in that 6th spot, Riley Sampson, goes around in turn number 3, and the caution flag flies for the opening time today. Not even 6 miles into the Coca-Cola 250 or under. Our first caution flag of the afternoon, Carlos Murphy will lead them around to take the yellow flag for the first time today, and Roberto Crown Jr. started this race in 27th and is immediately, I should say, made his way up to 4th in that 0-1 machine. I don't believe we're going to get the first stage of the afternoon ended here today, but Igor Beretta starting on the outside lane. He fell back a ton, back to 27th, and Bryce Egan, fortunately for Egan, didn't look like he was caught up in that wreck, but the trade-off is that he fell all the way down to 38th. So Roberto Crown Jr., based on this small sample size at the beginning of this race, looks to be in pretty good shape to win this championship, but we still got a long way to go and a short time to get there. 24 laps to go here. But Carlos Murphy will lead them around. We'll make sure that the field does not come down the pit lane. And they will indeed not. We'll see Matt Lagacy. He'll drop his nose and will come down the pit area. Let's see. Maybe there should be some strategy on that Taco Bell number 34. Actually, I see the front end is a little bit buckled there on that American Motorsports Dodge. So he will be the lone truck coming down the pit lane. We saw Alex Lozano and Lucas Catano caught up in that little bit of a kerfuffle on lap number 2. They're both behind a Rogel Dorn. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of damage on either of those trucks. Both of those drivers still trying to find their first wins of the season. But as Matt Lagacy comes down the pit lane, his teammate Carlos Murphy leads the way around the Coca-Cola Super Speedway. We're going to go ahead and see what happened to bring out the first caution flag of the afternoon with Riley Sampson, the defending champion of this series, going around and potentially knocking himself out of the race here at Coca-Cola. So going into turn number 3, you're going to see that Polaris number 11 of Lucas Catano pinch up into Riley Sampson, and both of those trucks are going to go sideways right in front of the tail end of the field. And Alex Lozano, he is going to go up into the outside wall, scrape it a little bit as Catano will go sideways. We'll back that 11 machine into the wall. Same thing with Sampson, but other than that, only 3 trucks really involved, and not even really Alex Lozano. Just kind of got held up there, did a good job of stepping on the brakes to avoid that stricken number 11 machine. The biggest loser in all of this, of course, is going to be Riley Sampson as he got caught on the embankment. Again, that's a stark embankment down to 36 degrees, and Sampson, he got beached. I believe Catano was able to drive by. Indeed, he was. So that's a tough break for Sampson. He'll be a lap down. But other than that, nothing really to write home about. Just a couple of trucks going sideways on the second lap of the race, but they should be able to continue here in the Coca-Cola 250. Another look at this accident in real time, following along with Lucas Catano. Just gets pinched into the outside wall and around he goes. Along with Riley Sampson. Both those trucks will come down the embankment. And Catano able to drive that number 11 machine away. And he'll be good to the go here. It's going to be Carlos Murphy leading the field back around to take the caution flag for the first time today. We'll see what these guys can do on the restart here in the Coca-Cola 250 here here at Coca-Cola. And we're back here at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway, cleaning up caution number 1 of the afternoon. After that 3-truck incident, Riley Sampson is the lone truck that is off of the lead lap. 1 lap down, currently back in 42nd. So is hoping for a quick yellow here. It's the field halfway home towards the front straightaway. A lot of trucks up in here looking to get their first wins of the season. In fact, you got to go all the way back to Kyler Anderson, who currently runs in 8th for the last truck to get a win here in 2025 so far for the Loves American Truck Series. But it's Carlos Murphy, older brother to Toby Murphy, the 2024 champion of the Mission Barbecue Cup Series, will lead the field back to the Reese's Restart Zone here in just a handful of moments. It'll be the white flag for stage number 1 as well, as Roberto Crown Jr. will start in 4th. Green flag back out of the air here for lap number 7. Final lap for stage number 1, and Bruno Diacomo immediately swarming around that 8 machine, and here comes Crown Jr. He wants to get as many stage points as humanly possible. It looks like JT Reynolds might be on the short end of the stick there. So he is going to go back to the Boondocks in the outside lane. Riley Sampson will remain a lap down. And back in here, this is more than enough than 10 trucks trying to fight for stage points here. It's Roberto Crown Jr. now on the outside lane. Does he try to go down to the inside as Carlos Murphy into the outside wall a little bit, and now Crown Jr. getting a little bit boxed here. Bruno Diacomo down to the low side in the 43. Crown Jr., he's going to be losing quite a few spots as they rocket around for home. Pedro Sabato trying to get to the inside of Diacomo for that stage 1 win. And just getting there by half a truck length will be Diacomo. And getting some stage points there will be that 0-1 machine of Roberto Crown Jr. He's being pinched there by Dylan Abrahamian. He nearly got up into the outside wall, and he nearly got turned as well, and that could have been a dangerous situation for the man who right now is the odds-on favorite to win the championship. Trouble in the back, several trucks around, one of them being Igor Barreto. Bryce Egan is also in it as well. He will go around, the big one striking on the back straightaway. Bryce Egan and Igor Barreto both caught up on the back. And there is significant damage on the driver's side of that number 78 F-150. Same for Igor Barreto. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of damage. But championship implication strike on lap number 7. Lap number 8, I should say. And we're under the caution flag once again. Goodness gracious. And that got started when we got 4 wide back in there. 4 wide on a super speedway like this is never going to work. See the damage on that 78 machine. How crumpled in that left-hand side of that F-150 is. Oh, and Cason Del Monte, he got turned. We had a stack up back in here. Oh, and now Alex Lozano runs into the back of Bryce Egan, and Egan's getting pile-driven from behind. Goodness gracious. So these trucks trying to figure out the scoring here. Corbin Wentz was also caught up in that. Had several trucks caught up in that. I believe they were all able to drive away. That 40 machine of Chris Harvey, we saw him go hard into the inside wall. He was fortunately able to drive away, but now both Alex Lozano Motorsports trucks with pretty smashed in front ends, and that has just been not the season you want for both of those automobiles. We'll figure out the scoring here. I don't believe Igor Barreto got any damage on that jam up. The same cannot be said for Bryce Egan. And that's the risk you run when you're running in the back like that. It's being caught up in a massive, massive wreck, and we're not even halfway home through the Coca-Cola 250, and already 2 cautions going on the scoreboard. It's Alex Lozano, who, or rather Alexander Rowe, I should say, who leads the way in the 99 Five Guys Toyota Tundra. But we're going to go ahead and review what could be the big one here today. A big stack up in the back end of the field involving two, the championship hopeful drivers here at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway in the Coca-Cola 250. So 4 wide on a super speedway historically does not work, as you're going to see the 39 of Samet Ozgen come up in Igor Barreto, one of the championship drivers, and all 4 of those trucks are going to pinch into the outside wall. Eric Monaco and Taylor Lay are also going to get caught up in this. Caleb Rose, I believe he was able to jump on the brakes in time, but this has got significant championship implications for Igor Barreto as he goes sideways in front of the rest of the field. Taylor Lay will get hit there by the 40, and crunching in, there's a little bit of damage on the back end of Corbin Wentz. There's where Bryce Egan got his damage. Joseph Wood goes hard into the outside wall. Rogel Dorn caught a piece as well, and around went Egan in that 78 machine. But it doesn't look like anybody was too much involved there, as Chris Harvey had a little bit of a hit down on the inside wall. Doesn't look too bad. But then again, we'll see in the real-time replay the jam-up we had on the back straightaway that knocked out a couple of trucks here. But that's going to put us under our second caution flag of the day, but involving two of the championship drivers. And this one is Igor Barreto and Bryce Egan. We're caught up in this dust-up. You can see the damage on the driver's side of Bryce Egan's F-150. Not what you want to see there for both these drivers in the middle stages of the race here in the championship race. On board with Igor Barreto, as he gets pinched 4 wide by Samet Ozgen. He'll get turned around, going down the back straightaway, and there's Bryce Egan where he gets caught up in this. No worse for wear for that 71 truck, just maybe some flat spotting of the tires. But going around and nearly another dangerous situation there for Igor Barreto. You see the damage on to Ryan Durrani machine of Bryce Egan. Not the situation you want for the man who was leading the championship for the majority of this season. He's able to get out of this unscathed. Following along with Igor Barreto as they get turned sideways, going down the back straightaway right in front of the rest of the field. You see Joseph Wood getting turned sideways. Both Casey Del Monte and Alex Lozano also caught up in this as well to bring out the second caution flag of the afternoon. And it didn't look that bad initially, as we see the race back to the line where Alexander Rowe was able to win it just barely over Nathan Stapleton, I believe. They're 3 wide behind them, and Alexander Rowe did in fact win the race back to the line. We had a good old-fashioned accordion back in here. And again, with all the weird scoring loops right at the start-finish line, everybody is on top of one another. And when nobody exactly knows where they are. Again, the AI in this game can tend to be very weird. This is where the jam-up starts a little bit with Russell Blaze. And it gets up to the point where Colin Jones is in it, and everybody is just hopping up on the brakes, and it gets really bad back in here with Cason Del Monte getting turned by Lucas Catano. And then back up in here, you see Igor Barreto run into the back of the 1 machine, and Alex Lozano runs right into the 40. So just your classic accordion effect on the cooldown lap. Under the caution flag, it's definitely not what you want, and especially a lot of trucks racing back in there, and everybody's trying to figure out their spots. That's going to knock at least 3 trucks out of the race. Lucas Catano and both Alex Lozano Motorsports machines of Alex Lozano and Cason Del Monte will likely be knocked out of the race from that. So as they sort everything out, Alexander Rowe won the race back to the caution flag, so he will be your race leader as we get underway for a second caution flag of the afternoon here in the season finale from Coca-Cola. We'll take you back to the green flag. We return to the Coca-Cola Super Speedway, cleaning up caution number 2 with the Coca-Cola 250. 3 trucks retired after 2 separate incidences. On lap number 8, Lucas Catano, Alex Lozano, and Cason Del Monte are out of the season finale, and they will end their seasons in the garage area. 39 trucks remain on track. 38 of them are on the lead lap. And still in the running is Bryce Egan. Same with Igor Barreto, but how damaged are their trucks once they get up to speed is going to be the million-dollar question. And back in 18th is Roberto Crown Jr., so he is not safe by any stretch of the imagination just yet. He did get some crucial stage points in stage number 1, and he's going to try and get some more here in stage number 2. Crown Jr., after that opening stage, was able to get 5 stage points, so that is 5 points ahead of the other 2 that Crown Jr. has in his pocket, so that's good for at least 1 more position over both Bryce Egan and Igor Barreto, and he's in decent shape right now. 2 laps away from the end of stage number 2 when Crown Jr. stuck on the outside lane just a little bit there, and this championship is not over just yet, and this race is definitely not over either. 4 trucks all on a blanket on top of one another as the big staple, Nathan Stapleton, will go for the race lead. A little bit of drafting help there from behind from Tyler Ware in the 15, and your pole sitter, Lauren Martinez, right behind them. Thought we had a big jam up back in here, but there are a couple of drivers that are being held up by some slower some slow-ish traffic, one of them being Roberto Crown Jr. And Crown Jr. might be under fire a little bit from Bryce Egan and that 71 of Igor Barreto as we go on to the final lap of stage number 2. Big hulking pack of trucks back in here. This is about the top 10 and then some, all on top of one of this, exactly the top 10, and these trucks are going to be the ones fighting for some stage points. You go back into here. So Russell Blaze being blocked by Pedro Sabato going down the back straightaway. They're 3 wide back in here. They're 3 wide for second. All this action behind Dylan Ebrahimian in that 29. Ebrahimian coming around turns 3 and 4. He is going to see that green and checkered waving in the air. Stage number 2, we'll go to that Ozkin Racing Domino's number 29 machine. And we are good to go to the end here on lap number 15. Of course, lap 16 will be our silent remembrance lap in honor of the horrible tragedy from a couple of days ago with the Greg Biffle family. Roberto Crown Jr. has been able to gain a little bit of a distance there over the 71. Bryce Egan falling back significantly. And all Roberto Crown Jr. just needs to do right now is survive. Toby Murphy ping-ponging around a little bit. And Crown Jr., he's going to spin around. The championship leader goes around in turn number 3 in front of the rest of the field. Back down the racetrack he comes. He's going to get railroaded there as a horrifying hit. Skylar Taylor gets mollywopped, and the championship driver might be knocked out of it. That was the big one, and that changes everything. Roberto Crown Jr., a mere 12 laps away from being a champion, gets turned around on the back straightaway, and everybody piles in. Cole Sampson, Colin Jones, Samat Ozkin, Michael Lewis, Skylar Taylor, she went flying, Eric Monaco, Jay McMichael, and some more trouble back in here. Another jam up on the back straightaway, and that's heavy, significant front end damage on the front end of the 71. So that might take Igor Barreto out of this championship fight. Goodness gracious. Bryce Egan, he's also got some significant damage in the 78. And if Egan, it looks like Barreto has more damage on the 71 than Egan does. And we're going to find out if Egan comes down the pit lane here. or if he goes to the garage area, we might find out who wins this championship here and now. Because Crown Jr., he's out of it. We got the 71 coming down the pit lane. Bryce Egan coming down as well. You know, if both of these trucks retire, Bryce Egan is going to win the championship, albeit a little bit, I don't know when you want to go, a little bit unceremoniously. But this is big right here. And it's a shame that on lap 16, this is a big moment here. Does Barretto go to the garage area? No, he's going to fix that 71. Same thing with Bryce Egan. No, he's gone. Igor Barretto has retired from the race. And I believe Bryce Egan has as well. Well, you want to talk about anticlimactic. That's the championship battle right there. That's happening in a super speedway. That is ultimately how the cookie crumbles for all three of those drivers. Well, now the question is, did Roberto Crown Jr., so where does Crown Jr. finish? So Roberto Crown Jr., he's in 35th. And 28th was Bryce Egan. Hold the phone. Roberto Crown Jr., I think he's still the champion. So Crown Jr. is 35th. And then Bryce Egan retired in 28th. Yeah, it doesn't get any more shotgun than that. Roberto Crown Jr., who caused the big one, he's going to end up being the champion after all of that nonsense. Because Bryce Egan, he's in the garage area. We're going to get official timing and scoring here next time around. But if my math is correct, and with everybody coming down the pit lane, I believe Roberto Crown Jr. just won the championship by causing the big one. So Crown Jr., he's down in 35th. Because again, we're looking on the pylon right now. I don't know if it'll cycle around. Just waiting to see, because this is big. This is massive. This is literal championship implications here. And that would be the most Truck Series way to crown a champion. So Roberto Crown Jr. will officially finish in 35th, and Bryce Egan will officially finish in 30th, and Igor Barretto will officially finish in 27th. So that will crown Roberto Crown Jr. the champion for the 2025 season of the Loves American Truck Series. And we got to go ahead and review how he caused the big one and how everybody was caught up in it. Oh my goodness, how about that? Let's go ahead and review everything, because holy shnikey, that is one heck of a way to crown a champion. Oh my goodness. So we saw this happen live. Roberto Crown Jr., who's only a handful of laps away from potentially winning the championship. He might have won it anyway, but he goes up into the outside wall into Skylar Taylor, and turn number 3 has been calamity corner all day long as both of those trucks going sideways. They were battling for 6th at the time. And down below, you can see Corbin Wentz doing his best Days of Thunder impression. In fact, a lot of trucks were able to get past Esteban Lacer with a little bit of a side swipe. And Igor Barretto was able to drive through initially. But what goes up ultimately must come back down, and you're going to see Skylar Taylor and Roberto Crown Jr. both coming down the racetrack. Chris Harvey just barely gets through. Colin Jones wallops the 45. Michael Lewis hits Skylar Taylor driver's side. He just about goes upside down, fully up into the air went that Wawa 45 truck. And that is about one of the hardest hits we have seen in all of the Loves American Truck Series campaign, and everybody else just going to pile in. Cole Sampson gets involved. Jay McMichael, and both him and Eric Monaco up into this as well. Just about 6 or 7 trucks in a heap right at the bottom of the racetrack, and all of them completely destroyed. That's going to be the end of the afternoon for McMichael. Same thing for Monaco, as well as Oskin. Same thing for the 54. In fact, now looking at it, all three Mal Racing trucks were caught up in that accident there, with Michael Lewis, Cole Sampson, and Roberto Crown Jr. being knocked out here on lap number 16. And that is what we originally thought was going to take Roberto Crown Jr. out of the championship fight, but as we'll see here in the real-time replay in a couple moments, that's not going to be the case. But for the time being, we'll take some onboards here, and then we'll get you to the real-time. Starting off with Roberto Crown Jr., the championship favorite. I think he was just trying to side draft the 45. Back down the racetrack they go, and oh my lord. That was about as hard of a shot as we have seen. With Colin Jones, you just to see how destroyed that 18 machine is. Fortunately, this is a video game, but goodness gracious. And that is a very torn up number 01 machine. Good lord. On the other end of the spectrum, from the viewpoint of Skylar Taylor, it's a little bit pinched there by the 01. Into the outside wall they go. I think just Roberto was just trying to side draft a little bit. Watch this 18. Punches the 45 right in the mouth and going flying through the air. Hit about 2, 3, 4 times with Skylar Taylor, and that Wah-Wah machine obliterated here at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway. From the viewpoint of Michael Lewis, coming down the racetrack, the 0 and the 45, and right driver's side into that Wah-Wah machine. Went Michael Lewis, and everybody else caught up behind him. A lot of hard hits for all three Mal Racing entries. And Michael Lewis, he definitely got the worst of it there. And finally on board with Colin Jones, who delivered probably the biggest hit out of all this. That's violent. That is violent. And he got a front row seat for all of that. Fortunately, this is a video game, because we would have had some tow car tarps out there if this wasn't. Fortunately, this is all a video game. Nope. Don't pan up high like that. But Colin Jones, he definitely got his bell rung there, and that is a tough lick for your Clawhammer winner, and a tough lick for all these drivers involved. So when we finally get to the real-time replay, and it was actually Taylor that came down the racetrack a little bit after bumping into the wall. And watch this 45 truck fly, coming down the embankment. 2 hits there from 3 separate trucks, and another one from the 44 to boot. For some of the most violent crashes we have seen. But on the cooldown lap, the biggest point of the race coming here, as everybody is going to, once again, slow down, trying to figure out where they are position-wise. You know, I believe this is going to start, back in here. Everybody's slowing down with Dylan Matthews. And I don't know, Igor Barreto, he just doesn't slow up. He just runs right in the back of the 2. That's going to accordion the field. Charlie Davenport gets turned. Same thing with the 40. And Bryce Egan, he gets mollywopped as well. I have no idea if Igor Barreto just lost his brakes there. He ran right in the back of that Peter Griffin 2 machine. Ironically enough, Peter Griffin is going to take out the most dominant championship driver all season long. Ironically, Peter Griffin decides the championship here. Just absolutely bonkers that Peter Griffin decides the championship. And we will confirm it here in a few moments, but I believe Roberto Crown Jr. is going to be the champion because Igor Barreto arca-braked into Peter Griffin. So take that as you will. Russell Blaze also, he got knocked out of this. Aaron Abel won the race back here to the line, so he will be your leader going back through the gears for the restart. But goodness gracious, probably some of those violent wreckage we have seen here on the NESRN. Coca-Cola, this is part of the reason, this is a big reason why it's a fictional racetrack, is wrecks like that. And fortunately, this is a video game. But Aaron Abel looking to get the job done here today. We'll see what he's able to do on the restart. The Coca-Cola 250 for the big one strikes on lap number 15. Cleaning up the huge one on lap number 16 of the event, and based on the official timing and scoring and based on the official finishing positions, with 2,026 points, Roberto Crown Jr. will officially win the championship after causing the big one. That's the most NASCAR way to win a championship. That will likely happen for NASCAR at some point. But storyline number one coming into the day has been fulfilled. Roberto Crown Jr. wins the championship by finishing in 35th. And now, coming around with 7 laps to go, we have finally cleaned up our third caution flag of the day, knocking out pretty much everybody from Igor Barreto. Bradley Ream had a tire failure, so that'll knock him out of the race. Pretty much 23 cars remain on track. And, well, championship's out of the way, folks. We're going to find out who's going to win this race here. We're coming around to 7 laps to go. It's Aaron Abel who will lead the way, with Nathan Stapleton, Bruno Giacomo rounding out the podium. Alexander Rowe and Nathan Orman round out the top 5. Green flag back out of the air here on lap number 20. 7 laps remain in the 2025 season of the Loves American Truck Series. Congratulations to Roberto Crown Jr. for winning the championship. But right now, we have got a race and a half here to find out who is going to win the season finale here at the Coca-Cola Superspeedway. It has been an aggressive one. It has been a carnageous one. It has been a wreckfest, to say the least. Can we get to the end with only one more caution flag, or can we get to the end without having any more caution flags in this one? Through Calamity Corner, that has been turns 3 and 4, goes the big staple of Nathan Stapleton, coming around to 6 laps to go in the season. A lot of trucks off of the pace right now. All 3 championship-eligible drivers have gone behind the wall. So right now we're focusing on who, in God's name, is going to win this race. 3 wide for the race lead. Nathan Orman on the low side. He's not going to have any drafting help from behind. Propelling that number 99 to the race lead will be Tyler Ware. Ware now in the middle of 3 wide as Stapleton will go to the outside. He'll fall back a little bit. Somehow Riley Sampson is still a lap down. So he's not going to be able to win this race. That would be the most hysterical thing in the world. The second most hysterical thing in the world. Nearly 3 and 4 wide back in here as Aaron Abel scrapes up on the outside wall. Riley Sampson nearly went around along with the 59. And Alexander Rowe leading the charge around turns 3 and 4. Coming around to 5. Count 'em, 5 laps to go. Dylan Abrahamian won stage number 2 in the 29. He swings down to the low side. He got a Ford and a Toyota side by side for the race lead, with a Dodge, a Chevrolet, and a whole bunch of other automobiles gunning for the race lead here. Pretty much everybody, with the exception of Riley Sampson, has a shot to win this race. Even Corbin Wentz, as Nathan Stapleton nearly turning the 8 truck around, going on the back straightaway. Corbin Wentz is still very much in this race right now in 15th, with a back end that is all beat to hell. Still double file for the race lead as Alexander Rowe into the outside wall. Here comes Lauren Martinez. Like we said, 1 win on a super speedway already this season, and Taylor Lay won on Tuesday night. Going to be 2 wins in a row for Andrews Racing. Lay currently the other truck that is a lap down, back in 25th. 4 laps to go in the 2025 season of the Loves American Truck Series. Carlos Murphy and JT Reynolds also in the mix, and you have got a lot of trucks in this lead pack that are looking for their first wins of the season. A couple more that are also looking for yet another win. Nathan Orman trying to tie Owen Miles as the all-time winningest driver. in the third level of competition on the NESRN. Right now he's on the inside lane, and he could have a shot at this race win. Carlos Murphy, like we said, older brother of Toby Murphy, who won the 2024 championship without even winning a race, finally got a singular win at Boston earlier this year. Can the Murphy brothers tame these New England tracks and go 2 for 2 in terms of their career wins here in New England? But it's Dylan Abrahamian with an aggressive move. That was Alexander Rowe with an aggressive move, I should say. Swings down to the low side. 3 laps to go as Abrahamian trying to get his first win. It's been about a year since Dylan Abrahamian came onto the scene, made his season debut, his channel debut back in the New Year's 500. And Abrahamian right now leads the way in that Domino's number 29. He knows his way around these super speedways, and we got some tandem drafting up in here. Alexander Rowe right on the tailgate of Carlos Murphy. Now he'll go down to the low side. Dylan Matthews back in there as well. You got Bruno Giacomo up in the mix, and Nathan Orman right in the middle of all these drivers, but all of them are behind that 29 truck coming around to 2 laps to go. We go on board with JT Reynolds in that 95. We got the teammate and the owner, Nathan Orman, down to the low side. Back ahead with 2 laps to go. Here comes Alexander Rowe in that 5 guys 99, and Aaron Abel coming along with him. Those two down to the low side of Abrahamian. We go on board with Aaron Abel and see what he sees out of the tailgate. Out of the rear view mirror, there is Nathan Stapleton right behind that 41 truck. There's single file for pretty much the majority. Here comes Stapleton down the low side of the 59. Lauren Martinez also going with him. Alexander Rowe leading with a lap and a half to go. Is he going to be in that same position here when they come back? Stapleton, who won the season finale of the Winston All-American Series at Daytona on a super speedway about 2 years ago. He's going to be in the mix, and he's going to go down the low side of the race leaders. Coming around, white flag is in the air. It's the bell lap of the 2025 season. The championship has already been decided, but the race win has not. Alexander Rowe, the Pied Piper of the Coca-Cola Super Speedway, make it 8 laps led on the afternoon. Aaron Abel might give him a little bit of a challenge here, but he's not going to have too much drafting help on the inside. Lap and a half to go, rather just half a lap to go, as Abel will now shoot his way to the low side. Alexander Rowe into the outside wall just a little bit. Reggie Fogelman trying to give his teammate and team owner a big shove, going down the back straightaway with half a lap to go. Fogelman, with the shove of his life, brings his leader out to the race lead, and his owner of Aaron Abel coming around as the lead truck off of turns 3 and 4. Fogelman blocking all covers. Here they come to the stripe. Checkered flag is in the air, and Aaron Abel will win the season finale at Coca-Cola. Racing Motorsports will go 1-2, and they nearly wrecked behind them as they go 4 wide at the line. Goodness gracious. Aaron Abel has been knocking of that door of that first win of the season for the last couple of weeks, and all it took was a last lap pass and a titanic shove down the back straightaway from his teammate of Reggie Fogelman. And Bruno Giacomo will finish 15th for 3 top 15 finishes for Racing Motorsports, but it's the boss man of Aaron Abel putting that Texas Roadhouse number 41 Tundra into victory lane. What a race to the end. What a finish to this one as Aaron Abel gets the job done, and we take a look at these standings of a wild race here at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway. 3 caution flags on the afternoon, with about half of the race being run under the yellow flag. Aaron Abel gets the job done in a 1-2 finish with Racing Motorsports with Reggie Fogelman on the back end of that deal. Alexander Rowe will finish in 3rd. Nathan Orman and your pole sitter Lauren Martinez round out the top 5. Colonel Caleb Rose got 6th. Tyler Ware got 7th. Nathan Stapleton, JT Reynolds, and Danny Fallington round out your top 10. 25 trucks finished the race. But that man right there, Roberto Crown Jr., with a 35th place finish, good enough to take the championship. And you think back to that race on Tuesday night where Igor Barreto, with ironically Dylan Abrahamian, we were talking him up here a couple of moments ago. He and Charlie Davenport didn't get sideways going off of turn number 2. Igor Barreto would have had this championship. It was a very similar situation between Campbell Marsh and Corey Case, and a heartbreak for Igor Barreto in these final last couple of weeks for that 71. And Roberto Crown Jr., Luigi wins by 2-0. That's not to say that he had one whale of a campaign. The most points ahead of everybody. The only truck driver, if I'm not mistaken, to gain more than 2,000 points on the season was the driver of that number 01 machine. Congratulations to Roberto Crown Jr. We'll get the official point standings on the other side of this break. But for right now, we'll take you into victory lane with Aaron Abel winning the season finale here for the 2025 running of the Coca-Cola Super Speedway and the final race of the 2025 season of the Love's American Truck Series. And taking a look at the official standings after race number 15, it is confirmed by a margin of 29 points. Roberto Crown Jr. crowned the champion for the 2025 season of the Love's American Truck Series. Bryce Egan, 29 points away from surpassing Roberto Crown Jr. Igor Barreto, 75 back of the 0-1. Aaron Abel, after all of that, will raise up to 4th in the point standings with a win. So Roberto Crown Jr. will become the 2nd winless champion. The 3rd winless champion in season or channel history, with Riley Sampson was winless back in 2024 for this level of competition for the WAS, and Toby Murphy for the Cup Series 1 year ago. Esteban Lacer will round out the top 5. Lauren Martinez, Dylan Matthews, Nathan Orman, Tyler Ware, and Kayla Rose, the top 10 in points. Taylor Lay, Russell Blaze, Pedro Sabato, JT Reynolds, and Rogel Dorn, the top 15. Kyler Anderson, Alexander Rowe, Skylar Taylor, Colin Jones, and Michael Lewis, the top 20. Top half of the field was bookended there by Bruno Diacomo, or rather, caboose there by Bruno Diacomo, I should say. Eric Monaco, Riley Sampson, Corbin Wentz, and Charlie Davenport, the top 25. Bradley Ream, Matt Lagasse, Danny Fallington, Nathan Stapleton, Reggie Fogelman, the top 30. Lucas Catano, Dylan Abrahamian, Carson Miller, Kasumi Takashi, and Carlos Murphy, the top 35. Joseph Wood, Cole Sampson, Kason Del Monte, Chris Harvey, and Samat Oskin, the top 40. And Jay McMichael and Alex Lozano rounding out the point standings. Alex Lozano finishing 1,002 points behind Roberto Crown Jr. on the spectrum. Taking a look at the Owners' Championship, no surprise to see Orman Motorsports taking the win. With Orman Motorsports getting only one win this season compared to Mal Racing, who got... Mal Racing also had one as well. That 1-2 finish was able... No, it was Racing Motorsports that had the 1-2 finish here today. But Mal Racing, of course, big help in the championship from Roberto Crown Jr. to help Mal Racing get to 2nd. Racing Motorsports rounds out the Owners' Points podium. Railfan Motorsports and Andrews Racing round out the top 5. I believe Andrews Racing had the most wins this year as an organization with 2. Because Mal Racing, they just had the 1. Orman Motorsports had the 1. Racing Motorsports had the 1. Railfan Motorsports had 1, and Andrews Racing had both of their trucks go to Gatorade Victory Lane. The Gerben Racing team, they got 6th. Titan Fury Racing got 7th. Fallout Racing had 8th. ST Motorsports was 9th. Actually, ST Motorsports. And it was actually Dodge Racing. Dodge Racing, who got 13th in the standings for the teams for the owners' points. Of course, they've only got 2 trucks compared to all these guys that have got 3. For the most part up here, besides Andrews Racing. Appalachian Motorsports rounded out the top 10. Silverado Power Racing 11th, Vision Motorsports 12th, Dodge Racing American Motorsports, and O2 Racing the top 15. Oscar Motorsports, Alex Lozano Racing, Durrani Racing, Storm Surge Esports, the Davenport Family Racing, and McMichael Motorsports rounded out all 21 teams. With McMichael Motorsports, all these guys down here. Single car programs, no surprise to see Durrani Racing ahead of the single car teams by 1997. And then, of course, for the manufacturer points, Dodge had the most points on the season. They had the most trucks entered with Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet. Second, third, and fourth. Taking a look at some of the in-season statistics. Leading the most laps, or most top fives. Well, that was pretty much everybody. Most wins, Russell Blaze and Skylar Taylor tied at 2, with Dodge Racing getting 3 wins as an organization this year. Most top fives, Aaron Abel and Roberto Crown Jr. tied at 6. So Crown Jr., didn't get a win, but he had the most top fives and the most top 10s. Bryce Egan led with 8. Same thing with Roberto Crown Jr. So those were the 2 most consistent trucks all season long, and it's no surprise why they finished 1-2. Most poles, Bruno Giacomo, Jay McMichael, and Nathan Stapleton all tied at 2. Most laps completed, tied, were Esteban Lasser and Lauren Martinez. They were able to finish all 479 laps this season, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they did not fail to finish a single race. I could be wrong on that. Dylan Matthews and Nathan Ormond 1 lap off of the pace of those, and Bruno Giacomo 2 laps off of the pace. Most laps led, most laps led, Esteban Lasser with 47. Aaron Abel led 43 laps. Rogel Dorn, Kyler Anderson, and Skylar Taylor, the top 5, and the most miles completed. Same thing with Esteban Lasser and Lauren Martinez. They completed the same amount of miles. Fastest average, no surprise to see Talladega. With Lauren Martinez won that race, an average of 154. Slowest average was at North Wilkesboro, another track that's very slow, and we had a couple of cautions there. Biggest margin of victory, 25 seconds. That was Skylar Taylor's second win of the season, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was Skylar Taylor's second win of the season, where they basically stayed out and completed the race on 1 pit stop. I'll just double check to see if that was indeed. I'm 90% sure. Don't quote me on it. Come on, let's get to Old Spice, and it was Skylar Taylor. Only made 1 pit stop in that race to win by 25 seconds over. I forget who finished second in that race. Closest margin by 5/100ths of a second. The race at Chicagoland. I forget who won that as well. Let's double check and see. That was Eric Monaco who won that by 5/100ths of a second over Danny Fallington. Fastest pole was at Coca-Cola. 193 by Lauren Martinez. Slowest pole was at Clawhammer. That was by Russell Blaze. Most lead changes was at Chicagoland, 17. Even more than any of the super speedways, which is crazy. Most leaders was at Talladega, however, with 14 different leaders. Most yellows was Coca-Cola with 3. This is the only race this year with 3 cautions, if I'm not mistaken. And the most cars running, we had several races where we had 42, so the game just picked the most recent one, which was Old Spice. And the most DNFs, the season finale, the Coca-Cola 250 at the Coca-Cola Super Speedway. But that is going to do it for the inaugural season of the NR2003 Loves American Truck Series. Congratulations to Roberto Crown Jr. for winning the championship. No wins, 6 top 5s, and 8 top 10s on the season. The only one that was even near that mark was Aaron Abel with 6 top 5s and 6 top 10s. For Igor Barreto, he was able to get 6 top 10s and 2 top 5s, but wasn't able to hold on for the entirety of the season. And again, much like with Campbell Marsh, Igor Barreto in a similar fate, and things come in threes, and we could see that in about 5 days' time on Thursday, December 25th, Christmas Day. We're going to have the season finale for the Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship, with the championship for both classes coming down to the wire. Aaron Abel, he's in the fight for GT Daytona along with Dylan Matthews, And, of course, Mike Vincent Jr. and Aguirre Sato are both gearing up for the GT Le Mans, their championship, with Mike Vincent Jr. in the very similar situation to Campo Martian Igor Barreto, where he has led the championship for almost all of the season, wire to wire. He could be in danger of losing it. Qualifying for that race will take place the night or the day before the race, Christmas Eve. Qualifying will be a 20-minute qualifying session for both classes at the same time at the Riverside International Raceway. That'll be in about 4 days on Christmas Eve at about 3 o'clock Eastern Time, so noon at Riverside. And then the day after will be the California Christmas Classic. That will be the final race of the year for the North American Sim Racing Network. And then, of course, January 1st, right at midnight Eastern Time, that's when we will get the 22-26 season started with the New Year's 500, as we always do it here on the NASRN. But that is going to officially do it for the 2025 season of the Loves American Truck Series. We'll be back here in 2026 with Roberto Crown Jr. looking to defend his title. And it's going to be a fun one in 2026. It's going to be a fun season for everybody. We're going to round out the 2025 season of the FMGTC in a week. And after that, next race will be the New Year's 500. The next race after that will be the UNOH Battle at the Beach, with the Mission Barbecue Cup Series gearing back into action in late January. And actually, we're going to have the 2.4 hours of Daytona also up as well, with the roll call for the FMGTC. That'll be going up tomorrow. The link down for that is down the Discord server, or the Discord server link is down below. We've already had a roll call going on, but kind of make an official YouTube video about that. I've been rambling on for long enough, but that is going to do it. Here from the Coca-Cola Super Speedway, congratulations to Aaron Abel for winning the Coca-Cola 250, and a big congratulations to Roberto Crown Jr. for winning the 2025 season championship of the Loves American Truck Series. And that will do it from us. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's coverage of the Loves American Truck Series here on your home for the tough trucks of NR, the North American Sim Racing Network. We'll be back here in just a couple of days for qualifying and the race, the feature race, the finale race for the 2025 season of the Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship right here on the NASRN. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen. Got your official point standings right here for the 2025 season of Loves American Truck Series. But from Concord, Massachusetts, on behalf of everybody from the entire NASRN, my name is Trey Wright, saying so long for the tough trucks of NASCAR, for the tough trucks of NR, I should say. We'll be back here in about a week's time for the season finale, Flowmaster Grand Touring Championship. But until then, have a great evening, folks. We'll see you on Christmas Eve.